Hi, welcome to GEC Live. I'm Melody Miranda, Culinary Director for the Good Eating Company. And today we're celebrating Veganuary, where we're focusing on incorporating more plant-based foods and meals into our diet. So we've got a really fun one today. It's yummy as well. It's going to be celery root steaks with spinachy cauliflower mac and a smoky mushroom crumble to kind of emulate that smoky bacon that you would sometimes put on a mac and cheese. So this is also has no gluten ingredients in it either. So you can, if you have aversion to wheat or wheat products, you don't need to worry with this one. So I'm going to turn on my pan, and we're going to start by making our cheese sauce. So I've already soaked up my raw cashews. You can soak them overnight, or if you just do really hot water, like boiling water, you can put them at room temperature for an hour or two, and they'll get pretty soft, so they can blend up into a cheese sauce. While my pan is heating up, I'm going to pop some olive oil in there. And you want to chop up some garlic, some red peppers, and then we also have some nutritional yeast and some seasonings. I have most of my garlic chopped up, but I wanted to show you a little trick to get garlic out of their skins. You get the flat side of your knife, just be very careful. Pop it against the clove of garlic and give it a tap. Don't get too mad at it because it'll smush it. And then the skin comes right off. So then you can easily chop up all your garlic. I believe that the recipe calls for 2 ounces. And it's ready to pop in the pan. You've got your peppers and garlic. And you just want to saute those until you get a little bit of color on them. And it'll take a few minutes. So while that's sauteing, we will get some of our items in the blender. Like I said, we got those cashews nice and soft, so they blend into a nice smooth sauce that's going to emulate the cheese really well. You'll see in a second. So you do want to save some of this liquid so you can thin out the consistency of the cheese to your desired thickness. You pop your cashews in, a little bit of the water, not all of it, because then you can always add to it if it's too thick, but it's harder to take it away once it's all blended. While those are sauteing, you can chop up your cauliflower. This is about 1 large head. It's about 1 pound. Chop it into bite-sized pieces. I use the orange cauliflower because it helps it look like mac and cheese. A little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, just to taste. Toss it up and pop it in your oven at about 350 for 10 minutes until it just starts getting a little bit of that brown color. The bell pepper will help that the color of the cheese look more like an orangish color. Also, the flavor in there is amazing. So to your cashews, you want to add nutritional yeast. That's where the cheesy flavor will come from. And once your peppers and garlic are brown, you want to let it cool off a bit when you're at home, but you can pop it into your blender. Touch of salt. And then the zest and juice of 1 lemon. So I've got this awesome little microplane. They sell them everywhere. I actually have a small collection of them, one for work, one for traveling for work, and a couple at home, different sizes. So the whole zest, tap that in, and then the juice of the whole lemon. And that gives it that just that little bit of acid that it needs to balance out all the fat from the cashews. Juice it up. Nice. And then you blend. And you'll see the color start to change once you bell peppers incorporate them together, and it turns into this nice orange stuff. Mine looks like a pretty good consistency. I don't think I need to add any more water. Magic of television. So I've got this beautiful, and it looks almost exactly like a melty cheese sauce here. It's delicious. So our cauliflower just about done. 10 magic minutes in my magic oven down there. And you'll see these little brown bits on the end. That's what you want to see. So you can scoop that up, pop it in a bowl, drizzle your sauce over it, toss it all up, and then you want to put it into some sort of casserole dish or a cast iron pan or something that you have at your house. You can even do individuals like this. And then you feel fancy with your friends if you have them over for dinner. It'll look really nice, and we'll pop that out later when we plate. So we want to start next with our date barbecue sauce that's going to go on our cauliflower steaks. And actually, I will reverse and do our celery root steaks, not cauliflower. This is celery root. You can find this in a lot of stores these days. I found it at Braley's, Whole Foods, maybe Safeway every once in a while, but this is actually a pretty clean one. Sometimes they have all these little hairs coming off of them. You'll need to pull those little hairs off, scrub the heck out of it, dab it with a fork about 40 times each, and then drizzle with olive oil, lots of salt, and bake it in an oven for at least 2 hours. And then you pop in a little bowl with salt and olive oil, and every 20 to 30 minutes, you want to baste these with that salt and olive oil mixture, and it kind of will bubble with the fork pokes and make this little caramel on the bottom of the pan. And you kind of want to baste all of that every 20 or 30 minutes or so on top of there, and it just makes for a delicious looking little celery roots. I love them because they're so ugly, they're beautiful. Once they're done, you can tell that they're really soft if you have a thermometer or just a knife or a fork. You pop it in and it pulls right back out. That's when you know it's done. If you get any resistance, you know it's going to need a little bit more time. But like I said, at least 2 hours. Let them cool and then cut them into about 1/2-inch steaks. And this is what it's going to look like inside. And you do leave the skin on. It kind of gives it a little bit of texture, gets that nice earthy flavor in there as well. We're going to make our date barbecue sauce to go over those. Start with a bit of olive oil, shallot and garlic. This is 1 medium shallot, just chopped. It doesn't have to be pretty because you're going to blend it all up anyway. Garlic again. You can eat garlic and everything. And then while that's kind of sauteing up, you can measure out your spices. So I don't know if we can see, but we've got smoked paprika, cumin, salt, and chili flakes in there. And also, while that's sauteing, you can chop up your dates. These are actually really nice dates. They're from California, here where I am, and they're like super soft. I think they're pretty fresh. So I was lucky. But if you get the ones that are a little bit on the drier side, don't worry, because you're going to simmer this down with some liquid and it'll soften them up. So you just want to make sure it'll take a couple minutes for these to get soft, but you want the shallot and garlic to try to start to get a little bit translucent. Browning is okay. It'll give a little bit more flavor to the barbecue sauce. I'm going to go ahead and pop in the date and then the liquid. The liquid is just water, I believe it's a 1/4 cup, and balsamic vinegar. So most of this stuff, I think most people would have in their houses, except for maybe the celery root. It's a little odd, unless you're me. I kind of have it every once in a while in my house. So you'll see that it's nice and chunky. It'll take a while for it to simmer and get those dates soft. 5-7 minutes or so. Just be patient, let it simmer. You can be cutting up your celery root in the meantime, getting it ready to go. I'm going to grab the blender and pop my spices in there. I put the spices in after I put the liquid, just so they don't burn on the bottom of the pan. Oh, that smells good. This is great as well because there's no refined sugar in here. The sweetness just all comes from the dates, and a lot of barbecue sauces use brown sugar, refined sugar, other things like that that aren't so awesome for you if you have them all the time. So at home, again, you should let this cool a bit before you pop it in the blender. And that's going to be your BBQ sauce. Pardon my noise while I blend. This will be a little bit more than you need for your steak, but then you'll have a little bit left over to drizzle over anything else that you might be cooking during the week. A little bit on chicken, beef. If you're doing the meat thing on the other days when you're not celebrating Veganuary. In the recipe, I believe, I don't know what you're saying. Sorry, hold on, guys. Oh, the spice mix for the, thank you. The spice mix for the barbecue sauce was cumin, smoked paprika, salt, and chili flakes. Super easy. I think, again, most people have most of those spices. Smoked paprika is easier to find than it used to be in the stores. I had no problem finding it. So we are going to heat up this pan. In the recipe, I believe that it says that you can brush the barbecue sauce onto the steaks and then pop it on the same pan that you roasted them on and just pop it back in the oven so it can kind of caramelize and get nice and toasty and brown in there. But I don't have a real oven here, so you can also heat up a pan and just get some color on them in the pan as well. This is what I did at home because I was just playing around before I did this live shot. So get it nice and hot. I'm going to put my cheese sauce below. While that's heating up, I just want to tell you about the little smoky mushroom crumble. That is super easy as well. You're going to get a little bit of tamari, which is basically soy sauce without the wheat product. Smoked paprika again. And some maple syrup. Again, that's a little bit better for you than a refined sugar. And there's not too much of it in here. Just a tiny bit of sweetness. And this mushrooms that I'm using are cremini. We're going to crumble them up and they're going to get a little bit of crispiness in the oven. If you want to do this with some king oyster mushrooms, those trumpet mushrooms, and slice them really thin, put this same mixture on there and put them in the oven, it looks almost exactly like bacon. It's so delicious. I can't stop eating it. So you'll see that it looks like a little bit too much liquid, but the cremini mushrooms will soak it up and it kind of makes for a nice smoky, flavorful mushroom that turns crispy once you cook it in the oven. So you coat them, you pop them in a single layer on a lined pan, put some paper down, 350 degrees. I start with 10 minutes. I check them, turn them, and then every 2 or 3 minutes, check them again until you can see that they're starting to get some color and get crispy. They shrink up quite a bit. This was 8 ounces of mushrooms, but they have great color and they have, I don't know if you can hear it, but they're crispy. And that'll be our topping. So I should have some good heat going on with this pan. You can see the smoke. Grab your BBQ. And just slather it on in a pretty thin layer. And then pop it in your pan to get it split. Usually I think about 2 slices is good for a serving. Unless you're hungry and you want more. It is vegetables. You can have as much as you want. And while those are getting color, I'm going to clean up my mash. Any questions out there, Linnea? Or not yet? No? Get ready to plate this goodness. So I actually borrowed most of the recipe from the steaks and the barbecue sauce from a man named Yotam Ottolenghi. I don't want to get his name wrong. I probably did. But he's pretty amazing with vegetables and doing some amazing things with recipes that the home cook can do easily at home, like these delicious steaks. He actually does some lettuce celery root tacos with this same barbecue sauce. It's amazing. I love it. Kind of tweaked it for my own and did a little riff on the barbecue. Veganuary barbecue. Let's flip this. You can see it's starting to get a little bit of color. You probably want at least 2 to 3 minutes per side. To get some good brownness on there. In the meantime, I did forget to mention that when you toss your cheese sauce with your cauliflower, you also want to toss the spinach in. Then you pop it in the oven to bake it. And here is our finished and baked Cauli-mac. You can either chop up your mushrooms or you can crumble them right on top. It's up to you. You can even blend these up with some panko breadcrumbs and a little bit of olive oil, and it'll make a nice breadcrumb topping if you can do the wheat. We'll pop them on just like they are. Gives a little bit of salty, sweet goodness on top there. And a crunch. Oh, yeah. Check these out. Woohoo! Hello. With these steaks, what I like to do is pop a little bit of the barbecue sauce on the plate. And then throw the steaks right on top. And we'll pretend this is sauteed spinach. Just put some on the side for color. And there you go. You have cauliflower steaks with date barbecue sauce and a cauliflower mac with a smoky mushroom topping. Enjoy. Thanks for having us.